Well, hello, everybody. This is Laurel. I'm very happy to be here with you today. And if you can hear the sound of my voice, if you go ahead and raise your hand, should be under reactions, just so I know. Perfect. Yay. So that's great. Thank you. So I know we had several people registered for today. Oh, there we have another. Had quite a few people registered, and it looks like we're just starting to trickle in. So giving people a moment to settle in. And if you're new to sharing space with me, I just welcome you. Very happy to be here again. And the purpose of our call today, you may be familiar with support calls, but this is an opportunity to request support using the Sedona method, as well as if you have questions, if you're practicing this on your own and you'd like clarification, or if any questions arise during our call, you're most welcome to ask those. And then also, if you've been working with this for a while, this is also an opportunity to share gains, to share how the Sedona method has benefited your life, the difference it's made. It's often helpful as we're learning something new to hear how it is for somebody else. So I really welcome that as well. And today is going to be a little bit different. I've been focusing on holistic releasing, which is one of several of the processes that we use with the Sedona method. It's one of the four basic processes. And so today, as best I can, I'm going to really focus on providing support using holistic releasing. I really love this technique for a variety of reasons, one of which is that it's very simple. It's something that you can easily do on your own, which I always encourage people to take these tools into their own lives, use them, provide support, and just, make a difference for whatever you have going on. And so it's very simple, easy to use, but also very powerful. And it can be used for just a variety of different things, for any sense of limitation around limiting thoughts, ideas, or concepts, as well as unwanted feelings and also bodily sensations. So it's effective in all those areas. So we should be able to use it today, regardless of what you're going through. And, other things may be peppered in as well, but I just wanted you all to know that's my intention, is to really focus on holistic releasing. And if you're new to the Sedona method, what the basis of holistic releasing is that it's in response to this idea that all of our experience exists within duality. If there's a right, then there's a wrong. If there's good, there's bad. There's up, there's down, and so on. And this also applies to any perceived limitation. And once you start exploring with the Sedona method, you'll see that this idea of duality is just another belief, that it's something that we tell ourselves over and over, and we've just been conditioned to think that it's true. But in reality, this opposition is just a concept. It is something that just can be released. And when we do that, we reveal the truth of what's behind that. And you get to do that in a way that you can really experience in your body. So that's enough of an overview. That's what's going to happen today. And we'll just get started. So it looks like Lorenz has a hand raised. Lorenz, if you'd like to go ahead, feel free to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
Hi. Yeah. I'm really grateful for these support calls because
Wonderful.
it's not just the releasing itself that happens, which is always somehow more powerful than like on my own.
Yes.
But it's just the knowledge that there is the possibility to that there is a call almost every day, and so that if there's something that I can't handle emotionally, then it really does give like it's really, yeah, a feeling of support, that there is this like possibility
I love
to go
that.
on the call. Yeah.
I love that you take advantage of that. And I agree. I think I've worked a lot one-on-one with people, but the community, there's a real community feel, even though on this call we don't use video, but you can still feel that connection
Yeah.
between the facilitator, but also everybody else here that's in that space. So yeah, I enjoyed
Yeah.
that as well. Perfect. Is
And
there any,
so what I'd like assistance with is, um, well, sounds, well, I'm experiencing some sensations of like dizziness and a headache,
okay.
and it's, well, it's unpleasant, of course, but it somehow seems to trigger a lot of fear, this dizziness, like, it might get worse tomorrow. I don't know what to do. I don't know where it's coming from, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, because yeah, I have a pretty early flight tomorrow, so it's something about like this. The combination is uh unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Perfect.
that's kind of overwhelmed by that somehow.
Okay. Yeah. And what feels stronger for you now? Is it the feelings around it, feeling unsettled or overwhelmed, or is it the physical sensation itself? In this moment, which one has a bigger charge to it?
Huh. Interesting that it's almost hard to keep them apart.
Okay.
Um, but well, right now the feeling dizzy is pretty strong. Yeah.
Okay. Great. And you also said you have a headache as well?
Yeah, but it's actually much more the dizziness.
Okay.
Uh, the headache is actually, yeah, not such a biggie.
Okay. Well, let's just see what we can do with that. And
Okay.
yeah. And are you in a space now where you can just allow the body to relax,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
sitting
yeah.
down
No,
and
no,
comfortable?
the space is good.
Perfect. Great.
Mm.
So again, we're going to try holistic releasing with this and we'll just see. I think it'll work well. Um,
Okay.
Wonderful. So first, can you just pause and stop and just allow yourself to notice what is? And in this moment, that might be what's happening in the body, the
Mm-hmm.
sensation. Yeah, so just allowing that sensation. And could you just simply notice it? We'll just put a pause right now on the flight tomorrow and anything that needs to be done. And as best you can you just sit with this sensation? Just noticing any aspects of that dizziness. You might be, instead of trying to figure it out, just so simply curious. Oh, this is what's happening in the body in this moment. And as you notice that dizziness, as you welcome that sensation, could you also welcome the support of the surface that you're sitting upon? Just noticing that part of your body that is grounded, that feels secure. And could you allow yourself to relax into that surface even more? Turning your attention to that area that right now is stable,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just noticing that. And once again, can you notice that dizziness? As well as any desire to change it, fix it, make it go away. Just noticing any thoughts that you may have about that sensation. And then could you also welcome support, groundedness, as best you can. And can you welcome the sensation of dizziness as much as you're noticing it now, as much as he is here in this moment? And again, can you welcome support, feeling grounded, feeling secure as best you can? And Lorenz, what are you noticing now?
Mm. Well, there's a headache,
Okay.
and
The dizziness, is it the same or is it shifted at all?
well, it was gone for like a few seconds. It seemed, then and now it's very as it was.
Okay.
Um,
Let's
and it's the feeling itself. Right now, it's not really the problem because I could just lie down and whatever. Like it's not. I think that's really more like it's just. I just feel like a child somehow. Like just like when you're sick and there's no one there, kind of thing. It's like and the fear of what might be the next day. I think that's really what's bothering me more than the
Okay.
feeling itself, actually. Yeah,
Okay, great. And does that feel like, is there, when you mention I feel like a child, is there a sense of judgment attached to that?
a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. So in this moment, can you just notice that feeling of feeling like a child, or maybe there's a sense of vulnerability to that?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so can you allow yourself to welcome that sense of feeling vulnerable as much as you do? Really giving yourself permission to
Yeah,
just feel that. Like we
I
we
can.
can. Okay, perfect. And then could you also welcome feeling again that sense of security, that sense of I got this
Yeah.
as best you can. And again, can you notice if there's any of that sense of feeling vulnerable, like uncertain?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And is there any wanting attached to
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Okay. Which one, what does it feel like? Wanting approval, wanting control, wanting security, wanting separation, or wanting oneness?
Security and oneness.
Okay. Yeah. So in this moment, can you just allow that wanting?
Yeah, it's the wanting for someone to take care of the situation.
Yeah.
Just actually like basically wanting a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So can you just allow that wanting? I think we all can relate to that feeling of, man, I wish someone would be here to take care of me right now. So can you allow that wanting to be here? And as best you can, just for now, could you just let that wanting go? Knowing that as we want for things, it doesn't change it. It doesn't actually bring us that thing that we're yearning for.
Mm.
Yeah. And could you also welcome the oneness that's already here? The oneness that you feel when you're on these calls and knowing that there's this connection supporting all of us. That's the
Mhm.
essence. Yeah. So can you just welcome that deeper knowing? I'm actually very connected to all that is. It's impossible to be separated from that, even though it might feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
Good. And then could you also welcome that sense of security? That sense that, the body, even though at times it may appear that there's something wrong, that sense of that deep security that the body knows what it needs. And the body knows, how to take care of those needs. So if there's any sense of that, could you welcome that possibility?
Can you repeat that again with the body? So the body takes care of itself?
Yeah, we have this idea when something's wrong, that there's something that
Yeah.
needs to be fixed, there's something we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the body has this deep wisdom, that it knows when to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
It knows, we don't have to tell it to beat, the heart to beat or the blood
Mm-hmm.
to circulate.
Mm-hmm.
So can you just welcome that sense of security that the body has this innate wisdom? And he might be telling you, like, right now, we might just need to lay down for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
So can you just open yourself up to that sense of security that I don't have to tell the body what to do. It actually, it knows better than the mind that might step in when it's concerned. So can you just welcome that security, that safety that is here?
Yes.
Good. And then could you notice again any sense of vulnerability, any sense of wishing that there was someone to help or someone to do something?
Yeah, there's even there's anger that there's no one here.
Perfect. Good. So can you notice that anger? And can you really give yourself permission to feel that? Like often well, some people, may repress anger, may feel uncomfortable feeling that way. So can you really just give yourself permission to feel that?
Yeah.
Allowing it. Perfect. And then could you also welcome the peace, the acceptance that's on the other side of that anger? Even if it may not be something you can connect with in this moment, can you just be open to that possibility of welcoming in acceptance? This is just what's here right now.
Yeah.
Good, perfect. And again, can you notice any sense of anger? Any sense of resistance to this situation? And can you welcome the peace, the acceptance that's right on the other side of it? Really
Yeah.
feeling that in your body, that sense of peace. And once again, noticing any sense of anger or other unwanted feelings or sensations without trying to fix or change them in any way. Can you simply allow them to be here? And then can you welcome acceptance and peace? And what are you noticing now?
Well, there's some pain, just physical pain. Uh, Emotionally, it's more open.
Okay, good. And is that pain, is that headache you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, it's actually different. It's actually different even.
Things are shifting
Uh,
around, aren't they?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little different, but yeah, part of it is the headache and part of it's just something else.
Well, let's just work with it a little bit more. And then,
Uh-huh.
perhaps during the rest of the call, you'll continue to just allow things to release.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but anybody else, that also may feel an unwanted sensation in the body, you might notice an area that feels a sense of, might feel like you might call it pain, or it might just be a contraction. It can even be a sense of nervousness or anxiousness, just anywhere that feels unease. I'm going to kind of do this as a group release, but I'll keep you on,
Yeah.
Lorenz, if you know.
Mm-hmm.
So just anyone that's here listening, just noticing that contraction. And when we feel that sense of contraction, that's where our mind goes. Our mind fixates on that sensation. But in truth, the body is actually much more space than it is form. And so again, noticing that contraction, noticing, any unwanted sensation, and just allowing it to be as it is. And now, could you also notice an area where there is ease, a sense of openness, or all is well here? It might be your left pinky toe or your right earlobe, anywhere else where there's nothing asking to be noticed. So could you just simply welcome that area where all is well? And again, noticing that contraction in the body, noticing any unwanted sensation. Without trying to fix or change it or figure it out, could you just allow that? Making space for it. And then wherever that contraction is, could you also notice the space where it appears? We look at our whole body as this space, and then these sensations arise within that. So can you notice the space that surrounds the sensation? Could you notice it even more? Perhaps you can notice the space that even beyond the body, that surrounds the body. The space of the room where you are in this moment. To allow yourself to dissolve into that space. As best you can. And this is something you can keep doing on your own if you are noticing any unwanted contractions or sensations in the body. It's just alternating between noticing that contraction and then noticing where there's space, where there is ease. And that could be inside or even outside of the body. So how are we doing, Lorenz?
Yeah, hanging in there.
Good. Was that helpful for you with what's showing
That's
up?
it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. And enjoy that flight tomorrow. I think you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. Well, the body will take care of it.
It will take
So,
care of it. Yes. And if you can,
yeah,
rest and relax. That's the best thing you can
that,
do.
that was a good thought. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, everybody. Anybody else here that would like a request for support, has a question, or would like to share a gain? The floor is open. Wonderful. Zaylin.
Hi.
Hey.
I really liked what Lorenz said about that fear. I really resonated with where it came from for me too in the body. For me, it's solar plexus and rib cage and feelings of inadequacy and being left behind. And I'm having a hard time finding that dualistic counterpart to those specific feelings. Particularly the left behind one, because logically I think it would be acceptance. But I can't really put a finger on it. I can't really figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to start, could you let go of trying to figure it out as best you can?
Yeah, as best I can.
Yeah, yeah. And so the when you mentioned, logically, I can't really see it. So when we start working with the Sedona method, there may be a lot of wanting to figure it out, especially if there's a lot going on or that appears to be happening in the moment. And then it can be a quick shift. And it's like, how did that happen? How does this work? What's actually going on? And so the best is we can shift from that mental place and actually feel it in the body. Sometimes we talk about releasing from the neck up when we're really in our head and when we're thinking about it, and that can just get in the way of the release. So just trying to actually feel it in the body, kind of that embodiment of what's going on. And, one way to think about this or to look at it is, we give this label, oh, I'm experiencing fear. But where that label comes from is there's actually a sensation in the body that becomes familiar that we start to label as fear. And so this idea, you can actually feel and we'll do this together, Zaylin, but when we welcome feeling left behind, or might be feeling inadequate or something's missing, then we can notice, okay, what does that feel like in the body when I feel those things? And then in looking at its opposite, what would actually create a sense of safety or a sense of feeling connected in the body? And if holistic releasing isn't the technique that really hits it for this, then we can always shift and try something different too. But let's, would it work for you if we really focus on fear? Or are you wanting to really look at inadequacy or being left behind? Because the fear, sometimes when we really look at the feeling, that can be really helpful versus like these other things are kind of like concepts. What does it mean to be inadequate? What does it mean to be left behind? Those are kind of ideas, concepts that the mind creates. Whereas the feeling is something that we can really feel in the body. So would that be okay if we looked at the fear specifically?
Yeah, anything to help.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And feel free to chime in as we do this if things come up that we think would be helpful to know for the release. So as best you can, could you allow yourself to pause and simply stop and notice what's here now? If you didn't go into memory, if you didn't go into anything before this moment, can you actually notice what's here right now in this moment? Sometimes we have thoughts that take us into the past or into the future. And there may be a sense of judgment that arises around what's happening or not happening. But as best you can you just notice this moment? And as you do that, is there still that feeling of fear? Is that here?
No. When I tap into where it is, or
Which is,
when I tap into where it is or where I think it should be in my body, it's sunshine and bumblebees and the color yellow.
mhm.
So there's not actually fear there.
Okay. And is there any sense of that it may come back?
Yeah, in the dark corners and the recesses of the perceived imagined space. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's the lower right-hand corner just waiting to strike as soon as I let the thoughts back into the space.
Yeah. Okay. So in this moment, can you just simply notice that? Welcome this sense of, oh, this might return. As much as you do, as much as that's here. There might be a sense of like trying to push away, like, oh, I see sunshine and lightness in this moment, but I want to push away any fear, any of that darkness that is appearing or might appear to come back. So just noticing that. And then can you also welcome the lightness that's here in this moment as best you can? And could you welcome that a little bit more? And noticing what that lightness feels like in the body. There might be a sense of peace that accompanies it. And anytime if the mind tries to pop back in, you can simply ask it to pause. So we're just taking a little vacation from all the things that have been apparently arising. So again, noticing any sense of that darkness, those unwanted thoughts or feelings. Might also feel like heaviness. And could you simply welcome that? As much as you can, as much as it may appear to be here. And that sense of fear might be with that, just that looming feeling. You just allow it. And again, can you notice the lightness that's here now? Notice any sense of peace and calm. And can you allow it to be here? And could you also welcome the perfection that you are? The unique expression of your beingness. If we think of beingness as all that is, all that ever was, and all that ever will be, you are absolutely part of that. So if you notice beingness, does beingness lack in any way? And what answer arises when you ponder that? You get an answer to that, Zaylin?
Just as you said that, the spots in my body where the fear is, feels like sharp shooting pain as it
So,
shifts, I guess.
okay. So you felt that pain when I asked, does beingness lack in any way?
I guess I feel lack.
Okay. Yeah. And is there any part of you that is not connected to beingness?
Probably. I don't really know which part.
So you look at it, like there's all that ever was. There's all that exists, and this is all of life. Everything here on earth and everything beyond that. So we look at that as that's all beingness. So is it possible that you are all, like all that's you is also beingness?
Yeah, as above, so below. As I am, so is the world.
Exactly. So beingness, all that is, do you think it ever feels inadequate?
No, it is.
It is. Yeah. And so this idea of inadequacy, could it be that that is simply a thought? that is just moving through the mind?
It certainly has stuck around a long time if it's just moving through.
Or maybe it's, maybe it's renting out a corner of the brain. It's got a little apartment up there, like, and it's just hanging out. But just take a moment and check to see, are you that thought? Or are you that which is simply noticing?
No, I'm just hearing the thought. The thought doesn't define me. But in
Exactly.
the way I just notice it, it also seems like I don't have the power to get rid of it.
So rather than trying to get rid of it, because it's gotten pretty cozy up there, we like to just simply notice it. Notice that, oh, there's that familiar thought again. I'm just welcoming it. I'm allowing it. Because when we resist it, then it continues to persist. So just noticing that thought of that there's something wrong with Zaylin. There's something that needs to be fixed or changed. And any sense of judgment that comes with that you're not, on the right timetable, life's moving ahead and you're somewhere else. Because you just simply notice those thoughts. Just allowing it to be here. And this thought that there's something wrong with me. Would you like to keep having that thought?
No.
Okay. Because it's really, is it helping the situation?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So just for a moment, we're just going to allow it to be here. Just another breath or two more. You might notice how much space it takes up. What it feels like when you have that thought. Just giving it another moment, say, okay, you have permission to be here. And then now, if you could just make the choice to let it go. Just for now, as best you can, could you do that? Could you make that choice? Let it move on along its way.
When I let it go, does it come back stronger or weaker?
I mean, we have no idea. What we do know is that it's not helping. And the more that I would say, my guess is usually when we allow something unwanted to be here, we welcome it, and then we notice, like, this is just a thought. This isn't me. This isn't who I am. This isn't benefiting me. So just for now, I could set that down. I could release it. And this is a natural response that the body knows how to do. And in my experience, as people have done this, that process of letting go becomes easier. And then that truth of who you truly are becomes revealed even more. So in my experience, I haven't seen unwanted thoughts, feelings, sensations increase through letting go. It's actually been quite the opposite. But sometimes there can be a fear underneath it. And it's like this thing is so familiar. And it's, also something I don't like, but it's like, I don't know who I am without it. So there can be a little resistance to let it go because we don't know what's on the other side of it. But, we have these unwanted feelings that are just thoughts, just things that come and go. But what's on the other side of them, that courageousness, acceptance, and peace, those are actually our natural state of being. That's really who we are. But things happen, we're human, and there's challenge, and these thoughts arise. But by taking the time to just simply notice and welcome them and then let them go, there's a chance for this, who we naturally are, to show up in more of our life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah. So would you like to try the process that we were just starting and just see what happens?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. So you mentioned this inadequacy and feeling left behind. Is that what's still here, or is there something more present?
I think it's just a lack of self-acceptance. And if I can't accept myself, why would others?
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, good question. So in this moment, just notice this belief, that I don't accept myself. Notice any resistance to who you are. And just could you allow that? And as you do that, can you bring in some compassion? Let's bring in some love. And just noticing anything that is a rejection of who you are. And knowing that that is not helpful, doesn't feel good, as best you can, and just for now, could you let that go? Could you set that down? The sense of rejection of self. And just answer whatever comes to you. Could be a yes, could be a no, could be a maybe. I'm not sure. Just whatever is true for you.
I'm being presented with another question.
Okay.
And it's just, why don't you love me?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So we can work with that if you want.
if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's whatever is here now. Yeah. So just noticing that rejection. Noticing any sense of being disconnected from loving yourself. And I'm sure the mind has plenty of reasons why. Just in this moment, just noticing what that feels like.
Feels very sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Noticing that sense of sadness. And then could you also welcome love? Unconditional, loving acceptance for who you are. No strings. Could you welcome that self-love? Allowing it to just fill you up. Noticing how far that love can reach. This love that has no limits. No conditions. And can you notice any part of you that may be rejecting that love or pushing it away or thinking that I have to do something to earn this? So noticing any resistance to that, just allowing that. It's okay. And again, can you welcome this love that's here always? This natural state of being. This love for all that is, all of life. Can you allow that love that you are to just pour into this being, into this body, into this mind? Can you allow it to circulate and flow and fill up every cell of who you are? Just feeling that love, that sense of comfort. I love you just as you are. I am love. Again, noticing if any resistance to this still remains. Noticing any thoughts that something needs to be done to be lovable. And if that's still there, can you just simply allow it? Maybe blow it a kiss or give it a squeeze. I see you. And finally, can you again welcome this love for who you are? The perfection of your beingness. Allowing that love to circulate in and through you and all around you. You allow this love to be here for you and all you are. What are you noticing now, Zaylan?
It's always on the right hand side. It's always on my masculine side, and feels like that's the part of me that I have the hardest time accepting. And it feels like that is very as above, so below. The world is having to accept the masculine as it is. I'm having to do so in myself. But at the end, I just saw a nice block of green light on the right side of my vision. So while it may not be total love, it is at least acceptance.
Were you able to feel some of that love in your body?
Yeah, I can feel it pouring in from my feminine and into the masculine.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might continue, if you want to play with this, noticing again, masculine and feminine are two of those polarities of just like, welcoming that feminine energy where you have that easier access to love and acceptance. Welcome that, notice it, and then noticing that masculine side that also appears to have some sense of resistance or a little more disconnected from that sense of love. And see what happens as you welcome, going back and forth between both sides. We usually start with that area where there's more resistance. So, in this case would be your masculine.
Mhm.
And usually connecting to what, that part of you, what that feels like. And then welcoming in the feminine, that access to love that's there. And then we like to end on that part that appears to be positive, so ending with that feminine space where you may have that easier connection to love.
Okay.
And just see if that helps to kind of bring them together or neutralize what appears to be in conflict
Mhm.
or disconnected. And just see what happens.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. We're close to the end of time. Just wanted to see if anybody else had anything that could be a quick share or a gain or a question. Anything else that wants to be voiced into this space before we end things for today. I really appreciate everyone that's been here. Maxine.
Yes, hi, Laurel.
Hi.
Sorry I jumped in after the hour, but I'm
No.
actually working. But I do have a gain that I would like to share.
Please.
I've been having kind of a difficult time at work, and the difficulty had to do with my director. And my director is now leaving our division, going somewhere else. And there was kind of a farewell party for her. And because of my kind of conflicting feelings around that, I wanted to be as honest and as authentic in my whatever I said in terms of my goodbye. So everybody had all these flowery things to say, and I didn't have that. So I was feeling a little tension, wanting everybody's approval, and yet I wasn't going there. So I just didn't say anything. So the director, called me out, like there was over like 100 people there. We're all on Zoom, right? So the universe just said, "Oh, Maxine, let's see what you have to say." And what I have to say is that I authentically wished her well. I didn't have all the flowery words, but in my heart, I appreciated a lot of the growth that happened in our department, and I acknowledged that publicly. And I just wished her well. I kept it short and brief and honest. Not to say that others weren't being honest. I'm just saying that for myself, I was just happy with what came out of me. I had no idea what I would say. So I really see that as a result of the Sedona method. Just connecting, just making a priority for me to be what my heart feels is authentic and just speaking from there. So it was just a kind of a pivotal moment for me. And I just wanted to just share that. So
Thank you so much, Maxine.
mhm.
I appreciate that. I know when we're in conflicting situations or we feel like it's going to be a difficult conversation, there can be a lot of getting in the head of like scripting it out or what am I going to
Yes,
say and second
yes,
guessing and just to allow
yes.
it to flow naturally.
Mm,
Is really a beautiful thing that can bring
mhm.
a lot of peace and ease and takes the load off. So
For sure, for sure. And
yeah.
as well, it's for me, it was just really a moment of just letting go and not trying to figure it out, as well as just
Mm,
really trusting,
yeah.
just trusting, it really, just like you said, it doesn't have to be made up, or I didn't need to perform,
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mm,
just wonderful, just wonderful.
so beautiful. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that, Maxine.
For sure.
It's always helpful to hear those gains and
Hmm.
as we explore this process. So thank you for
Right,
bringing that. Well, great.
exactly. Hmm.
Yay. Well, we are at the end of the hour, so I just appreciate you all being here. And if anybody, wants to chime in and say goodbye, then we'll just end with that and go about our day.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Laurel, thanks for your service. I just want to say that as well.
oh,
These support calls are really very, very helpful. And
mhm.
yeah, when people step up and make it possible,
Oh,
it's a huge gift to the community. I just want to thank you.
oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for being
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
We're
All
all
right.
part of it. Thank you so
Right, for
much.
sure. Yeah. Everybody have a great rest of your week, and take good care.
Thanks. You
Mhm.
Thanks,
too.
Laurel.
You're welcome. Bye, friends.